The the guy that I'm going to add to the Bud list is a guy that really hasn't been talked about that much, considering where he's going to be drafted, and that's Cam Ward. Okay, and just Cam Ward's a really nice story, really interesting story. So in high school, he throws 12 times per game his senior year, doesn't have any scholarship offers. He's a 0-star. He's got 0 stars.
I don't like
so he
that.
finally gets an offer. Well, they ran the wing T, so it was hard to
Did he
evaluate.
run for a lot of yards?
I mean, yeah, he was still a very good player, but he couldn't get any love, and so his only offers from the University of Incarnate Word, and he goes there for 2 years, lights it up. That's an FCS school. Transfers to Washington State, does really well there. Declares for the draft, then decides this quarterback group is pretty impressive. Maybe I'll take a step back, get the NIL money from Miami. He does that, and now he's in the mix for the #1 overall draft pick. It's going to be the #1 overall draft pick. But here's where I think we're running into problems, and we just talked about this with Genty, is we don't need to talk about all the things you're going to do, Cam. So let's pull up the quote that he had, and he's had a few of these quotes. And either you're going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You got to remember I'm the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that. Then he's talking to Shador, and Shador says, which team has the best chance to win a ring? The Giants, the Browns, the Titans, and whoever drafts me. That was his follow-up. So let's talk about the reality of being the #1 overall draft pick as a quarterback. So here's the last 10 years of guys who've been drafted #1 overall, and it's a pretty mixed bag. Okay, so you got Burrow, and Goff, but Goff didn't win it with out in
with the Rams.
Rams, yeah. So it's a pretty mixed bag. But let's also talk about the last 35 years. If your name's not Manning, okay, and if you're not Stafford, 13 years into your career, you're not a starter who was drafted #1 overall who won a Super Bowl ring. So there's been 3 guys who've been drafted #1 overall in the last 35 years who've won a Super Bowl ring. So this road is a pretty hard and long road. So maybe just slow down on talking about all the things you're going to do. And again, go in. You've had a great career. You've earned this opportunity. But just let's under-promise and over-deliver.
That's a good one, Coach. If you can throw up that graphic again, I don't even think when you look at the quarterbacks, Coach, it's not a mixed bag with the quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb is obviously open. We'll see what happens with that. Bryce so far, Trevor so far, obviously Burrow, Kyler, Baker's become something, Goff, Jameis. Like, most of those guys haven't panned out.
And the only one that is a guaranteed hit for the team that drafted him is Burrow.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I believe in Trevor, but it's not guaranteed yet. The other guys, we haven't seen enough, or they moved on.
But think about the fact that in 35 years, the 2 Manning brothers and Stafford. And Stafford, it took 13 years.
Right.
And those are the only guys that have won Super Bowls by guys who've been drafted.
Yeah, and Stafford not with his team.
Yeah, not with his team and deep into his career.
Yeah, no, it's a great point.
Wow.
Yeah. I really agree, and I've said this so much now on a lot of my videos, and so I don't want to kind of keep repeating that, especially if you're watching all the videos and not just the specific team that you like. I just think in these situations it's better to say less. It just is. Just because you're asked a question doesn't mean you need to give an answer. And also, if you're going to be vocal about some of this stuff, I just think it's just always smart to show humility. You can be wildly confident, but you just don't have to air that out every 5 seconds. And showing humility also really shows your maturity. And we know this. You have to be mature to be a great quarterback, right? Like that's the reality of the situation there. But what I do find very fascinating, and I'm glad Mangini brought this up, because I'd been thinking about this a lot actually, just the other day, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, I actually really need to do a Cam Ward, video, and I was like, it's actually so fascinating. I was like, he's the #1 overall pick. Pretty much everyone believes that he's the #1 overall pick, but yet there's been infinitely more videos on, content on, ESPN, FS1, et cetera, on Shador Sanders. Like, it's not even close. There's been more stuff on Jackson Dart. And I'm kind of questioning, like, what is it? One, we know Shador is obviously just very popular. So we know that. And, you're going to, these shows are going to make videos, content based on what's popular, right? Like that's obvious. But I wonder if it's a combination between Cam Ward just not being as popular in terms of compared to like a Shador or even like a Travis Hunter or something, but also if it's because everyone believes he's going to the Tennessee Titans. When you think about the number 1 overall pick last year with Caleb Williams, like everybody was talking about Caleb. Everybody. And it's also because the Chicago Bears market is massive. I mean, I experienced that just making videos here. It was like I was like, oh, I think Caleb Williams will have a lot of success with the Chicago Bears, and it was just like boom through the roof. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of Chicago Bears fans out there. Like let's go. And so then it was easy to talk about because it's like I like to make videos that people want to watch and people that want to comment and engage with. Like it's a bummer to make a video that people just don't really watch because it's just not popular of enough team. I remember when Trevor Lawrence signed his contract last season, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting contract, etc., etc. Like nobody watched the video because like no one's talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And quite frankly, going into that year 2021, people talked about how Trevor Lawrence was a generational talent, but like they did not make the same amount of content around the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams. It just was not the same. Like you heard about Caleb Williams every 5 seconds because again, the Chicago Bears fan base is massive. And so I just wonder that if your player isn't individually just such a popular superstar in terms of their popularity, like a Shador Sanders already is, you're really kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to be talking about Cam Ward, then I'm going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans, and like, do people care enough about the Tennessee Titans? And it's a frustrating place to be in. It really is because, I mean, think about it. I watch all these shows, First Things First, NFL Live, The Herd, all that, and it's just like, there's been at least like 2 Shador Sanders stories a day since like whenever we were starting to like really talk about the draft, right? Talking about Travis Hunter, talking about Jackson Dart, talking about should the Saints move up, like pretty much like everything but Cam Ward. And the Tennessee Titans, and what will the impact have? Like, remember, like everybody was talking about Caleb Williams going to Chicago. They're going to be a playoff team. Like there was so much energy, so much juice, and like I'm not hearing like any predictions of Cam Ward will have a lot of success with the Tennessee Titans, like et cetera, et cetera. So Cam Ward has the opportunity to really put the Tennessee Titans on the map. I mean, throughout all of last season, I really, for the life of me, don't know if there was any true individual take about the Tennessee Titans. I know Tennessee Titans were brought up usually in relation to another team or usually kind of like making fun of like the quarterback situation. You never go full Levis, like, all that type of stuff. But like, I don't really know if First Things First like had a real segment where they were like the Tennessee Titans. Like, let's just talk about them for 8 uninterrupted minutes. Let's figure, what's going on with them. Like, I don't recall that, honestly. And it's a bummer. I really feel for some of these fan bases where their team doesn't get talked about a lot, because like you're gonna watch videos like this, you're gonna watch these shows, and to like not have your team discuss, like you're just constantly just hearing and them talk about every other team, quite frankly, and it's a bummer. And you see this with the smaller markets, you see this with the Jacksonville Jaguars, even the Miami Dolphins, who have a pretty big market, like still not really talked about that much. Arizona, perfect, Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals. You just don't really see it. Carolina Panthers, if I didn't say them yet. And so like that's the cool thing about having potentially such an awesome quarterback going to your team, that it really can put you on the map. It forces these shows to talk about you. And it's exciting. And that's I had a similar take when I was talking about actually last year with the Las Vegas Raiders, where I was just like, this is such a massive fan base, and the Raiders fans are incredibly passionate, and like they absolutely love football. And it's just like, man, like this team has not been competitive in so long that it's just like, it's a bummer, because you have a fan base that's kind of being starved right now. And it's like, if you can just make this team competitive, like not only obviously does it make the fans happy, but like it's also good for the NFL, like the conversations, like the energy behind all of the content, the videos, the shows, like it just feels like it gets, higher and higher. And sometimes your fan base is so big that even when you're bad, you're still talked about. Like the Dallas Cowboys. That's why the Dallas Cowboys are still talked about, even when they have a backup quarterback. They're like, oh, can they make the playoffs with Cooper Rush? And it's like, does it matter? Because 1, the answer is no. And 2, really, Cooper Rush is going to go beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game? You really believe that? Because I don't think you do. And yet you're still talking about it, right? And it's just like, it's a frustrating situation to be in. So I really hope the Tennessee Titans can have some success, be competitive, fight for the division, and actually be relevant. That area is awesome. I've been there for more passing through, and it's like awesome people down there, passionate people, definitely more chill people. So they're not going to be maybe like as intense as some of these other fan bases per se, but I think the NFL is in a better place when we have more of these teams being competitive, and I love the ability to talk about all of these other teams rather than making like 7 49ers videos a day. Like that kind of stuff drives me crazy, and like I try my best to kind of work around it and find the clips and work off of for some of these other teams that I can, and again, try my best to find the Las Vegas Raiders clips, try my best to find the Jacksonville Jaguars clips and stuff like that. But I've definitely been sleeping on the Tennessee Titans, and so I'm hopeful that at least when you bring a Cam Ward, and that's why like I'm almost like okay with some of the things that he said, because it just adds some attention. And again, it's not my favorite, like I've said in my previous videos, where it's like if I was in Cam Ward's camp or the Tennessee Titans camp, I'd be like, all right, I love the confidence, that's awesome, but like let's not say this stuff right now. Like you don't need to say this stuff. Like let's just focus on the work ahead of us, right? Like let's just be focused. But sometimes beggars can't be choosers, and if you can bring some energy there, that'll be pretty cool. And I think the Tennessee Titans deserve it. Their fan base deserves it. That Super Bowl against the Rams will forever be burned into my brain. That is probably one of the most memorable moments in like my just NFL memory bank, honestly. So it would be cool to see the Titans be able to truly be competitive and really give you the sense like, hey, like we can actually win. We actually got the quarterback, right? We're not kind of working around our quarterback, because even when they had some success in the more recent years past, like you had some energy, there was some momentum, but like obviously it's different when you have a quarterback like a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, a Joe Burrow, etc. Cam Ward, again, I have no strong feelings whether he will be able to live up to all of that or not. I'm incredibly excited. I do love his story, but like, if he can be that guy, he can be that guy. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans? Do you think he can live up to his promises? And how do you feel about some of the things that he's saying? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.